My beloved brother, my dear sister, you keep asking Allah for a sign over and over again, through tears, through confusion, through heartbreak. And tonight, without realizing it, you've been guided to this exact moment, not by chance, but by divine mercy. Because this is not just a video. This is the answer to the prayer you whispered when you thought no one was listening. And that is how you know you were never forgotten. The sign you're waiting for was never loud. My beloved brothers and sisters, have you ever reached that point where you sit alone, maybe late at night, and you look up at the ceiling or stare into your hands and you say with a soft voice, Ya Allah, please just show me something. You don't want the whole picture. You're not even asking for miracles. You just want one small sign, one small direction, just a little light to remind you that you're not walking through this confusion alone. Maybe you've been feeling so lost lately. Nothing makes sense. The things you once loved don't excite you anymore. The path you once felt sure of now feels blurry. And everywhere you look, people seem to be moving forward. But you feel like you're standing still, or worse, moving backwards. And in the middle of that storm, a voice inside you keeps whispering, maybe you're doing it wrong. Maybe you've missed your purpose. Itu daha alalam. Maybe Allah is silent because you failed Him. But my beloved, let me stop you right there. Let me say something your heart needs to hear. Allah is not silent with you. Allah is not ignoring you. Allah has not forgotten you. In fact, the very reason you're listening to this right now, the very reason these words found you at this exact moment, is because Allah never stopped responding to your dua. You see, we expect signs from Allah to be loud, to be clear, to be miraculous. We expect the clouds to open or for something big to shake our world. But Allah doesn't always work like that, because Allah knows you deeply. He knows your fears. He knows your personality. He knows exactly what will reach your heart. So sometimes His signs don't come through thunder. They come through silence, through whispers, through soft moments like this one. Maybe this video was never part of your plan. Maybe it appeared on your screen randomly. Maybe you didn't even know what you were looking for when you clicked it. But do you think Allah didn't? Do you think the one who sees your every breath, who knows every worry on your mind, who heard you cry out for direction in sujood just days ago, wouldn't know exactly when to send you a sign? You don't need a lightning bolt. You don't need a miracle that flips your whole world upside down. Sometimes you just need to stop and truly listen, not with your ears, but with your heart, because your heart has already felt something special in these words, has already recognized something deeper in this moment. And that's not from me, that's from Allah. That calmness you're feeling right now, that little spark of hope, that subtle moment where everything else fades and only this voice remains, that is your sign. This is your moment of realignment. And it's not because I'm speaking, it's because Allah is using this very second, this exact heartbeat in time to respond to you. You see, you've been asking, you've been praying, you've been crying out to Him. You've been confused, exhausted and afraid. You've been begging silently, Ya Allah, am I on the right path? Ya Allah, what do you want from me? And this moment is part of the answer. You were not left behind. You were not ignored. You were not forgotten. You were being guided, just not in the way the world teaches you to expect. Allah guides in the most personal, subtle and meaningful ways. Sometimes through people, sometimes through pain, sometimes through delays, and sometimes through a video you didn't search for but couldn't stop watching. Because Allah doesn't send signs to impress you. He sends them to awaken you. And this is your awakening. My beloved, if your heart has been heavy, if your mind has been restless, if you felt like nothing is making sense anymore, that is not a sign of failure. That is a sign that you are ready to be rewritten. You are standing at the edge of change. And Allah is calling you back softly, lovingly, patiently. He's calling you away from the noise, away from the pressure, away from what's been distracting your soul. He's reminding you, I never left you. You just stopped listening for a while. But I'm still here. And I've never stopped guiding you. This is not just another video. This is a gift from the one who created you to remind you that your story is still being written and you are still part of something so much greater than what your eyes can see right now. Don't rush. Don't panic. Don't think you've fallen too far. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are not behind. You're being prepared. And this moment right now is Allah showing you that He is still involved in your journey. So take a deep breath. Not because your problems are gone, but because your soul has remembered something. You are still seen. You are still loved. You are still being guided. And you didn't find this message. It found you. Because Allah knew you'd be watching. And He never stopped answering. This right here is your sign. The confusion in your heart is a divine pause, not a problem. You wake up and everything feels heavy. Not because of physical pain, but because your soul is confused. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what to do next. You don't even know who you are anymore. You were once full of plans. You used to be excited for the future. You used to know your place in the world. But now, you wake up and even small things feel like mountains. And the worst part is, you don't know why you feel this way. You look at other people and it seems like they're moving, they're building, they're achieving, they're sure of their next step. But you're just still stuck, frozen in thought. You say, Ya Allah, what's wrong with me? You keep trying to fix yourself, to restart, to force progress, but nothing feels right. You try to push forward, but your soul keeps pulling you back. You try to focus, but your heart is elsewhere. You try to be happy, but something in you is still searching. That feeling, my dear brother, my dear sister, is not a flaw. It's not a failure. It's not weakness. It's a divine pause. It's Allah gently pulling you out of the noise you once called normal. It's Allah slowing you down before you rush into a life that isn't meant for your soul. Confusion isn't the opposite of clarity. It's the doorway to it. Because when Allah loves you, He doesn't just give you direction. He removes the wrong direction first. And that process, it feels like disorientation. It feels like you're walking through fog. But inside that fog is where your soul finally starts to pay attention. You see, when everything is clear, we rarely ask questions. We just move, we chase, we perform. But when Allah wants to wake you up, He takes away the things that gave you false certainty. He allows the plans to fall apart. He lets people walk away. He closes doors you were begging to open. Not because He wants to confuse you, but because He wants to rebuild you. Allah is not punishing you with confusion. He's inviting you to realignment. This isn't the end of your purpose. This is the part where He rewrites it. You are not late. You are not lazy. You are not lost. You are being stopped on purpose so that you can finally see what you kept ignoring. Because what if the path you thought was success was actually a trap? What if the dream you were chasing was never yours? What if the version of you that's confused right now is actually the version that's waking up? Let me tell you something gently. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to not know what tomorrow holds. It's okay to sit in the middle of your questions, as long as you're sitting with Allah, because the ones who are close to Him often go through moments of deep, painful pause. Even the prophets went through confusion. Even the most beloved of Allah had seasons of waiting, of wondering, of feeling uncertain. Do you think Allah didn't know that you'd feel this way? Of course He did. And that's exactly why He's giving you this space, this stillness, this silence, to help you discover not where you're going, but who you're becoming. You were never meant to just survive. You were meant to awaken, to transform, to walk a path that not everyone around you will understand. And that begins in confusion. Confusion strips away false confidence. It empties you out. It humbles you. And in that humility, you begin to say, Ya Allah, I don't know where I'm going, but I trust you to take me there. That is clarity. Not knowing all the answers, but knowing that Allah is still holding your hand while you walk through the unknown. You don't need to figure it all out right now. You don't need a 10-year plan. You just need one thing: trust. Trust that the God who created your heart knows how to rebuild it. Trust that the confusion you're in is not a life sentence. It's a sacred classroom. And in this classroom, Allah is teaching you what no book ever could. He's teaching you how to feel again, how to pause, how to reflect, how to return to Him. So don't rush this season. Don't fight the fog. Walk through it slowly, because Allah is right beside you, clearing the path, one step at a time. You haven't been left behind. You've been set apart. Because Allah doesn't guide everyone the same way. Some people find Him through blessings. Some people find Him through loss. And some find Him through confusion. This moment of stillness in your life, it's not an error. It's evidence that your journey is being handcrafted with love, with wisdom, with divine care. You are not falling behind. You are falling back into alignment. You are not falling apart. You are falling into place. So take a deep breath. Wipe your tears. Stop comparing your pace to anyone else. And tell yourself, if Allah brought me to this moment, then this moment must be part of my purpose. Even in your confusion, Allah is writing beauty. Even in your stillness, He is planning movement. Even in your weakness, He is planting strength. And even in your silence, He is still listening. So don't fear the pause, because sometimes the silence you fear is the space where Allah whispers, stay here. I'm not finished with you yet. The purpose you're seeking is buried beneath the life you're grieving. You keep asking, Ya Allah, what is my purpose? What am I meant to do? Why does everything I plan feel like it's falling apart? But maybe that question has already been answered, just not in the way you expected. You see, you've been taught that purpose looks like success, that it must feel exciting, that it must look clear, that it must bring applause. And if it doesn't, then something must be wrong. But my beloved, what if purpose doesn't feel like a mountaintop? What if it feels like a collapse? What if it's buried under the life that's currently breaking apart? The people you lost, the dreams that died, the places you had to leave, the you that no longer exists. That grief you're carrying so silently, that sadness you keep pushing away. What if it's not your enemy? What if it's the path? We don't like to talk about grief. We try to outrun it, cover it, pray it away. But sometimes Allah lets you lose what you thought you needed so you can find what your soul was actually born for. You keep praying for clarity, and He responds with a broken plan, a heartbreak, a door that won't open, not to hurt you, but to free you, because your purpose was never going to be found in the version of life you were trying to force. The life you keep grieving is not a punishment, it's a release. Allah saw what you didn't. He heard the conversations behind your back. He knew what your heart was too loyal to let go of. So He stepped in and began the process of rebuilding you by removing what couldn't go where He was taking you. You didn't lose your purpose. You lost your attachment to the wrong one. And now you're standing in the ashes, confused, alone, empty. But let me tell you something beautiful. The emptiness is the beginning. Because only when the heart is emptied can it finally be filled with what it was made for. Sometimes Allah doesn't give you a new plan. He takes away everything else until His plan is the only one left standing. You thought you were being punished, but you were being protected. You thought you were being delayed, but you were being prepared. The purpose you're crying for right now, it's not far from you. It's underneath the pain you've been trying to avoid. The pain has been carving space, breaking the layers, peeling back the noise. And when all that is gone, what remains is something pure, real, and finally in alignment with Allah. The loss taught you patience. The heartbreak taught you boundaries. The silence taught you reflection. The failure taught you humility. And all of that is part of your purpose. Because you were never meant to walk blindly into your calling. You were meant to become the person who can carry it. You don't find your purpose by chasing it. You find it by surrendering, by allowing the old version of you to die, so the version Allah loves can rise. Maybe that's why it's been so painful lately. Because you're not just grieving people, you're grieving identities, dreams, roles, attachments, and all of them needed to fall so that Allah could bring you back to the version of you that was always meant to rise. The confusion you're in is not a mistake. The loss you faced is not without meaning. The purpose you've been begging for has been growing quietly inside the soil of your grief. Even when you couldn't see it, Allah was planting it. And maybe that's why nothing else worked. Because the old life was never strong enough to carry the new version of you. So don't fear the season. Don't be ashamed of what's falling apart. It's not the end. It's the clearing. The space Allah needs to build something eternal. You weren't just meant to survive. You were meant to awaken. And awakenings often begin at the bottom of what you thought was your end. So breathe, grieve if you need to, but don't rush it. Your purpose isn't something far away. It's something Allah is building with every test you're still standing through. You're not off track. You're on a divine detour. And sometimes the most direct path to who you were meant to be is through the life you were forced to let go of. So stop looking for purpose in the noise. Look for it in the silence that followed your loss. That's where it lives. And if you listen closely enough, you'll hear your soul quietly say, I didn't lose everything. I lost what was never mine. And now I'm finally ready to live the life Allah always wrote for me. The stillness you hate is where Allah builds clarity. You don't like this season you're in. You used to wake up with purpose, with direction, with plans, with energy. But now, even small decisions feel heavy. You sit and stare, trying to figure out your next step, and your mind just stays quiet. You say to yourself, what happened to me? Why can't I move like I used to? Why am I so tired, even when I'm doing nothing? And you silently start thinking, Maybe something's wrong with me. Maybe I've lost it. Maybe this is the beginning of the end. But let me tell you something today, with softness and with love. No, my beloved, this isn't the end. This is the quiet beginning of something sacred. The stillness you're stuck in is not a punishment. It's a process. It's not Allah turning away from you. It's Him bringing you closer to yourself. We've been taught to run, to hustle, to perform, to stay productive, to keep up with everyone around us. And so, when Allah lovingly slows us down, we panic. We think it's failure. We think it's weakness. We think something is broken. But Allah sees deeper. He knows the rhythm of your soul. He knows the pressure you've been under. He knows what the world doesn't see. So when He sees your soul reaching its limits, He slows everything down. And when you resist that slowing, you miss the point of the pause. Because sometimes stillness is not something you need to escape. It's something you need to enter. Stillness is where you stop pretending. It's where your soul finally whispers the things you've been avoiding. It's where the pain you've ignored finally surfaces. It's where truth begins. You think life is passing you by. But in Allah's eyes, you are exactly where you need to be. Stillness is not delay. It's not wasted time. It's preparation. Because not every miracle happens in motion. Some miracles begin in absolute silence. That's where real clarity is born. Not in noise, not in chaos, but in still, honest surrender. Allah slows you down to show you what you couldn't see while running. You've been asking for clarity, but clarity doesn't come in the rush. It comes in the pause. And if you keep fighting the stillness, you'll keep running past the wisdom. You'll keep missing the subtle answers Allah is placing in your heart. You ask, why is nothing working? Why can't I move forward? But have you ever stopped to think, maybe the door is not opening because Allah is not sending you through it yet. Maybe the plan is not moving because you haven't fully healed. Maybe the people disappeared because Allah wanted silence to become your best teacher. Sometimes Allah removes movement so you can start hearing the movement inside your own heart. He brings your external life to a stop so your internal life can finally speak. You've been rushing, pushing, forcing, but now Allah is asking you to sit, to breathe, to listen. He's not slowing you down to hurt you. He's slowing you down to speak to you. The most important transformations in life do not happen when we are busy. They happen in the spaces between, in the deep breath before the next step, in the quiet night when no one is watching, in the moment your heart finally says, Ya Allah, I don't know anymore. I just want to be close to you. That's when the real change begins. You see, the world tells you, move faster, keep up, do more. But Allah says, be still and remember me. When your body is still, your heart has room to soften. When your schedule is quiet, your dua becomes more sincere. When you stop rushing, you start noticing how Allah has always been guiding you. You start seeing signs you missed. You start remembering what matters. You start healing without even realizing it. So if you're in a season of stillness, don't try to escape it. Honor it. Enter it. Embrace it. Because inside the stillness, you are being rebuilt. No one else can see it. It's not visible. It's not loud. It doesn't look like progress. But spiritually, you are growing in ways you'll only understand later. Your purpose is not behind you. It's not passing you by. It's being crafted right here. Inside the pause you're resenting. Sometimes Allah hides clarity inside what you fear most. A still life, a quiet soul, an unplanned path. Because when the world is quiet, That's when your connection with Allah becomes loud. Stillness gives you space to let go of things that were draining you, to reflect on where you've been, to rediscover where you're going, to make peace with the parts of you you've ignored for too long, and most importantly, to just be with Allah. No pressure, no performance, no expectations, just you and the one who has been waiting for you to finally sit down and feel again. This isn't a setback, it's sacred ground. The stillness you hate is where Allah is building clarity, strength, patience, presence. So take a deep breath. Stop judging yourself. Stop measuring your worth by motion and say, Ya Allah, if this is my season of stillness, then help me sit with it. Help me find you in it. Help me hear what you're trying to teach me. Because some of the clearest answers are whispered only in the deepest silences. And right now, you are sitting in one, and that is not a problem, it's a divine gift. The pain you thought would destroy you became the door that awakened you. You didn't see it coming. That heartbreak, that betrayal, that failure, that unexpected turn, that quiet night where everything inside you collapsed, but the world just kept going, and you sat there, still, shaken, trying to breathe through pain that had no name. You didn't cry because you were weak. You cried because something sacred inside you cracked. And when it cracked, you saw something no one else could. You saw yourself, raw, unfiltered, empty. And that emptiness terrified you. You asked, Ya Allah, why me? What did I do wrong? Why does it hurt so much? You thought that pain would be the end of you. You thought that night would break something permanent. You thought you would never be the same again. And in a way, you were right. Because that pain did break something, but not the way you feared. It didn't break your soul. It broke the illusions around it. It broke the lies you believed about your worth. It broke the false dreams that were never meant for you. It broke the need to perform for people who never truly saw you. And in that breaking, something deeper began. An awakening. You see, Allah sometimes allows a storm not to drown you, but to wake you, because there were signs before that moment. Little red flags, gentle nudges, soft warnings. But you ignored them. You told yourself, I'll be fine. This is just life. I can handle it. Until you couldn't. Until everything collapsed at once. Until your hands could no longer hold what you were never meant to carry. Until your heart finally whispered, Ya Allah, I can't do this anymore. And Allah in His mercy didn't shame you. He didn't punish you. He didn't say, why didn't you come to me sooner? He simply waited until you came back. He waited through your silence, through your stubbornness, through your pride, through your endless attempts to fix everything on your own. And when you finally surrendered, when you finally broke, He welcomed you into a kind of healing you had never experienced before. That pain you thought would destroy you was actually the doorway to your rebirth. It stripped you of what didn't serve you. It shook you free from what was chaining you. It peeled back the layers you wore to survive in a world that never knew how to love you properly. And under all that noise was someone worth rebuilding. Someone Allah always saw. Someone who had been buried under expectations, pressure, and emotional exhaustion for too long. You didn't lose yourself in the pain. You met yourself there. The real you. The one who prays differently now. The one who listens more quietly. the one who doesn't chase people like before, the one who finally understands that peace doesn't come from people, plans, or perfection. It comes from proximity to Allah. And maybe that's the real miracle, that something meant to break you actually brought you closer to the one who made you. You've grown in ways you can't even explain. You've learned how to sit with yourself. You've learned how to say, Alhamdulillah, even with a trembling voice. You've learned that sometimes the best moments in life come after the worst ones. Because pain has a strange way of washing your vision, of removing what doesn't matter, of sharpening what does. It teaches you to stop running, to stop chasing, to stop forcing. It teaches you to come back, to return, to remember. And through that remembering, you rebuild. You become softer but stronger, quieter but deeper, less attached to the world but more connected to the heavens. You understand now that the pain wasn't random. It was permission to begin again from a place of truth. So stop saying you are broken. Stop believing that you've lost something permanent. What you lost was never meant to stay. And what remains is pure and real and blessed. You may still carry the scar, but the scar is not a wound. It's proof that you healed. It's proof that you lived through something that once tried to bury you but couldn't. It's proof that Allah still has plans for you, that your story is still unfolding. Because if He was finished with you, you wouldn't be reading this. You wouldn't be listening. You wouldn't still be holding on, but you are. And that is not by accident. You see, my dear brother, my dear sister, there are parts of your soul that only pain can awaken. And there are versions of you that only grief can unlock. And sometimes the most powerful dua you'll ever make is not the one you speak with words, but the one that comes out in tears when your forehead touches the ground and you say nothing at all. Allah hears that, He sees it, and He responds. Because even when you thought you were suffering alone, you were never alone. You were being carried in a way you couldn't see, in a silence that wasn't empty. It was full of divine mercy. And now you are here, not whole, not perfect, but awake. And that, my beloved, is more than enough. You didn't just survive the pain, you were reborn through it. And for the rest of your life, every time you look back at that moment, that heartbreak, that collapse, that quiet devastation, let your heart say, that was the day I returned to Allah. That was the night I finally saw clearly. That was the pain that brought me back to my purpose. Alhamdulillah, for the pain that woke you up. Your purpose is not a destination, it's the person you're becoming. You keep wondering what your purpose is. You wake up some days asking, what am I even doing? You look around at people with titles, with dreams, with visible progress, and you feel like you're falling behind. You keep waiting for that one big thing to arrive, that opportunity, that calling, that clear direction. The moment when you'll finally say, yes, this is it. This is what I was made for. But the longer you wait, the more you begin to question, what if I never find it? What if I'm just wasting time? What if my life doesn't matter? But my dear brother, my dear sister, let me tell you something that your heart has been waiting to hear. Your purpose is not a single moment. It's not one job. It's not one dream. It's not a destination waiting for you at the end of a perfect path. Your purpose is the journey, the process, the slow, often unseen transformation that happens on the inside. Your purpose is the person you are becoming while you wait for the things you thought would complete you. Because while you were chasing a title, Allah was shaping your character. While you were asking for a spotlight, Allah was building your sincerity. While you were trying to climb higher, Allah was teaching you how to kneel deeper. Purpose isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like learning patience when your plans keep failing. Sometimes it looks like learning faith when everything feels uncertain. Sometimes your purpose is simply to survive a season that no one else knows is silently breaking you apart. And in surviving it, you develop a strength you never had before. Allah does not rush greatness. He unfolds it slowly, carefully, tenderly. Not because He's delaying you, but because He loves you too much to give you a crown. Before your back is strong enough to carry it, you keep looking for an answer. But sometimes you are the answer. You, right now, sitting in the middle of your confusion, your longing, your waiting, you are not far from your purpose. You are walking in it with every quiet dua, every tear wiped in sujood, every moment you choose Allah over your desires. You are stepping deeper into the version of yourself that you were always meant to be. And that version is your purpose. That version that forgives when it's easier to hate. That version that prays even when the heart feels distant. That version that tries again even when it's afraid. That version that has learned to let go. Not because it stopped caring, but because it started trusting. You're becoming someone who carries meaning in silence. Someone who chooses truth over applause. Someone who is not obsessed with being seen, but with being sincere. And all of that is so much bigger than a title or a job or one clear moment. That's why your path feels different. Because you're not just being assigned something. You're being prepared for someone. You, the real you. The one that isn't defined by the world. The one that Allah created with a mission that no one else can fulfill but you. So stop measuring your life by what you've achieved. Start measuring it by who you're becoming in the eyes of Allah. Are you more patient than you were last year? Are you more forgiving? More honest? More sincere? More detached from this world? And more in love with Jannah? That is progress. That is purpose. The world celebrates the finish line, but Allah celebrates the effort, the quiet battles no one sees, the small choices that only you and Him know about. Those are the moments that shape your eternity. And maybe that's why nothing else has satisfied you, because you were chasing a version of purpose that looked good on the outside, but left your soul starving on the inside. Now Allah is bringing you back to what actually matters, to who you are. When no one's watching, to who you are. When you finally put down the weight of expectations and simply ask, Ya Allah, just make me someone you love. That dua, that desire is the start of everything. So even if you don't know where you're headed, even if you feel like you're walking in circles, if you're becoming more sincere, more gentle, more connected to Allah, then you are not lost. You are walking your purpose, because Allah does not call you to something without first preparing your soul to carry it with humility. You want to do something great? Start by becoming someone small. In front of Allah, someone honest, someone soft-hearted, someone who cries in secret because they care more about how Allah sees them than how the world sees them. That's the kind of person Allah uses for real purpose. So breathe. You're not late. You're not behind. You're not lost. You are in the middle of becoming something eternal. You are being written. You are being refined. You are being made new. Not all at once, but slowly, deliberately, lovingly. And one day soon, you look back at this confusing quiet, difficult chapter, and you'll smile because you'll realize that was the season where Allah was shaping the version of me that finally felt whole. You keep asking Allah for a door, but He's been building you into one. You've been praying for an opening, begging for clarity, asking Allah, just open a door for me, Ya Allah, any door. You've cried on your prayer mat. You've fasted. You've made dua night after night. Still, nothing moves. The job doesn't come. The proposal doesn't work. The opportunity stays locked. The people walk away. The silence stretches on, and your heart begins to ache with that quiet fear. What if I'm not chosen? What if Allah doesn't want to use me? But let me tell you something softly. Something your soul may have forgotten. Just because a door hasn't opened yet doesn't mean Allah has forgotten you. It might just mean He's not preparing the door, He's preparing you. Because what if you weren't meant to walk through a door? What if you were meant to become one? A door of healing, a door of light, a door that someone else walks through to find Allah again. Sometimes Allah doesn't open opportunities for you because He's making you the opportunity for someone else. You've been asking for a role, a place, a stage, but Allah sees further. He's not just looking at what you do, He's looking at what you carry. He knows the strength it takes to keep showing up, to keep believing while everyone else moves forward, to keep giving when you feel empty. And so, while you were crying for a breakthrough, He was building you layer by layer, silently, lovingly, slowly. He was breaking your pride so your purpose wouldn't destroy you. He was softening your heart so you could carry someone else's sorrow and know exactly how to hold it with care. He was removing people from your life so you would stop relying on creation and finally return to the Creator. You wanted to be seen, but Allah wanted you to become someone worth seeing. Not in the eyes of the world, but in His eyes. You wanted a platform. He wanted to purify your intentions. You wanted answers. He wanted to teach you how to live the questions. Because when Allah chooses someone for something great, He doesn't just hand it to them. He rebuilds them first. That's why the silence felt heavy. That's why the delay felt endless. That's why you felt isolated while others were celebrated. Because you weren't being overlooked. You were being overprepared. And that preparation doesn't feel exciting. It feels like loneliness, like loss, like long nights with no reply, like building a structure inside your soul that no one else can see yet. But Allah sees it. He sees the effort you've made in private, the forgiveness you've given quietly, the sins you've walked away from even though it hurt, the strength you've shown when you were exhausted, the patience you practiced when no one clapped for you. And He knows. He knows you're not perfect, but you're real. You've been through enough to help others now. You've learned enough through pain to comfort someone else's storm. That's why your purpose is different. Because you weren't just made to receive light. You were made to carry it, to be it, to reflect it. You keep asking for a way in. But what if you were made to be the way out for someone else? That's why your journey hurts. Because you're being carved into something useful. And you can't carry someone through a fire if you've never stood in one yourself. You can't teach healing if you've never been broken. You can't guide others if you've never been lost. So Allah let you walk through hardship, not to destroy you, but to make you deeply familiar with the terrain. Because one day, someone will come to you, confused, crying, crushed, just like you were. And they'll ask, what do I do now? And you'll smile, not because you have all the answers, but because you remember exactly how it felt. And you'll sit with them and listen and comfort them with the comfort you once begged Allah for. And in that moment, you'll realize something beautiful. This was the door. This was the calling. This was the purpose. Not to be the one always receiving, but to be the one who has become so full of Allah's mercy that it overflows quietly into others. So the next time you cry, Ya Allah, where is my door? Remember this, you are the door. The patience you learned, it will hold someone else's panic. The faith you built, it will calm someone else's fear. The pain you endured, it will soften someone else's grief. And you'll walk through life not shouting about your purpose, but living it with kindness, with sincerity, with grace. And Allah will continue to use you, not because you're famous, not because you're loud, but because you're available to be used, even if it costs you comfort, available to love people, even if they don't love you back, available to be a quiet servant in a world obsessed with noise. And that is the kind of soul Allah uses. So maybe you're not waiting on a door to open. Maybe Allah is still building you into one. And the people you were meant to serve will only find you once you've been shaped fully by the hands of patience, humility, and divine preparation. And when that moment comes, you'll realize this is why the door didn't open back then. Because Allah was making sure that I would become something no door could contain. This very moment is proof you're not forgotten. There comes a moment in life where everything feels quiet, too quiet. Your phone doesn't ring. No one checks on you. The dreams you were chasing go silent. The people you trusted grow distant. And your du'as start to feel like they're just bouncing off the walls. You kneel in prayer, but even your voice feels different now. Slower, more tired, less confident. And inside your heart, the question begins to form, has Allah forgotten me? My dear brother, my dear sister, if your heart has ever whispered that question, let me speak to you softly now. Let this be your reminder. The very fact that you're reading this, listening to these words, and feeling them press gently into your chest is proof that you are not forgotten. Because you could have been anywhere, doing anything, distracted, disengaged, disconnected. But instead, you ended up here, in this moment, at this exact time. That is not random. That is not coincidence. That is Allah. That is your Lord gently tugging at your soul, saying, come closer, I still remember you. I always have. You see, the world only sees you when you're successful, when you're smiling, when you're moving, when you're useful to them. But Allah, He sees you when you're still, when you're crying on your bed at night, when you whisper du'as that even you don't fully understand, when you walk into sujood, not knowing what to say, but hoping He hears the tears falling from your heart. And He does. He hears it all, even the things you're too exhausted to say. That's why this moment matters. Because right now, you didn't find this message. It found you. You were meant to be reminded, not by someone who knows your story, but by the one who wrote it. You've been carrying this feeling that you're invisible, that everyone else is being guided except you, that everyone else is moving forward except you, that maybe you've slipped so far off the path that Allah no longer wants to guide you back. But I promise you, that is just a whisper from shaitan, and you are not too far gone. You are not too far from mercy. You are not too far from healing. You are not too far from return. Because Allah doesn't need distance. to reach your heart. He doesn't need words to understand your pain. He doesn't need effort to bless you with a new chapter. All He needs is for you to believe even a little that His mercy is still available to you. And if you're still breathing, still here, still hoping for a sign, then that is the sign. You are still part of His plan, even when you've stopped believing in yourself. Allah hasn't, even when you've walked away. He's never taken a step away from you. He is not like people. He doesn't unlove you when you're not at your best. He doesn't replace you when you're weak. He doesn't reject you when you fall short. In fact, the moments you feel furthest from Him are often the moments He's closest to you, because Allah doesn't come to pride. He comes to humility, to desperation, to the broken-hearted, to the forgotten. He comes to the one who has nothing left except the words, Ya Allah, I need you. So don't let your silence scare you. Sometimes Allah removes the noise from your life so you can finally hear what He's been trying to say all along. Sometimes He removes the people so you stop expecting from them what only He can give. Sometimes He closes every door so you stop knocking on what was never written for you to enter. And sometimes He just lets you sit quietly so you finally remember where your peace actually comes from. Not from control, not from certainty, not from getting everything you asked for, but from Him, from the calm that enters your heart. When you stop fighting the delay and start trusting the one who's been writing your story since before you were even born. This moment right here, this very second, is not meaningless. It's mercy. It's a divine checkpoint, a soul-deep pause, a sacred moment of return where Allah is gently telling you, you're still mine, even now, even like this, even with the doubts, even with the tears, even with the sins, even when you thought I wasn't listening, I was, and He still is. So breathe. You're not too late. You haven't missed your chance. You haven't ruined your destiny. Allah knows how to begin again. Even after your biggest mistakes, even after the years you think you wasted, even after the heartbreak that still lingers in your chest, He is not looking for perfection. He is looking for sincerity. A heart that says, I've been away, Ya Allah, but I miss you and I want to come back. That is all it takes. A soft whisper, a quiet cry, a single step, and He will come running toward you with love and mercy that will leave you wondering why you ever doubted Him to begin with. You are not forgotten. You are being gently called back to the one who never stopped thinking about you. So the next time you say, Ya Allah, are you still there? Let this moment answer for you. Yes, He's still here, and He's been waiting for you to feel this so you could finally come home. My beloved brother, my dear sister, you didn't just stumble on this message. Allah chose this moment for you because He heard your silent du'as, even the ones you made when no one else could see your tears. You have been asking for a sign, and tonight Allah is telling you, you were never forgotten, you were never invisible. You were always seen by me. The pain you've carried, the confusion that kept you awake at night, the tears you thought no one noticed, all of it was heard by your Lord. And this moment right now is part of His answer to you. So don't leave with fear in your heart, leave with hope, because Allah's plan for you is not finished. You are not too late. You are not too far. You are exactly where He wants you to be. Keep turning to Him. Keep trusting Him. And remember, my dear, this message is not mine. It is a gentle reminder from the one who created you that you are still loved, still chosen, and still on the path He wrote for you. May Allah bless you, guide you, and heal your heart. Ameen.